everyone. I know I've been away a long time, but let's get into it and touch base and say hello. So, this is Futures Brizio. It is just after 12 noon on Monday, January 12th, 2026. And I hope everybody had a great holiday season. I know I haven't been in here since before the holidays. I think I put a couple of posts up on trades, not videos, but just YouTube posts on a couple of trades that I took just prior to the holidays, but that's it. I did mention on the last video before the holidays that I wouldn't be recording anything over the holidays because I was traveling, but and I really didn't do a lot of trading just because the markets were fairly quiet. There were a couple of trades, but overall, pretty much what I thought was rather quiet, and I spent a lot of time with friends and family, and I just really wasn't in front of my screen too much looking at charts. So, but now we're back. But the other thing is the reason why I haven't made a video in the last since the new year. Well, certainly in the last week or so, is because I had computer issues, major computer. I had some hard drive issues. My computer would just start running really slow. I have an old computer, and I actually just ordered a new one this morning because of that. I did get this one back up and running. I was able to clone the hard drive and drop in a new solid state drive. And but then when I cloned it, it cloned okay, but then it wouldn't boot. The computer wouldn't boot from it. So anyways, any of you computer geeks out there know what I'm talking about. I couldn't get it to boot. So I literally spent days fighting with it. So I didn't trade for probably a good 4 days last week because I was so engulfed trying to fix this computer. So I finally bit the bullet and bought a new laptop today. I ordered it anyway. It's going to take a little while because it's being custom made for me. But anyways, so I apologize about the absence. But with that said, we'll just jump right in, take a look at the markets, talk about a couple of other things. So this video might be a little bit longer. So let's just jump right in. So in these grain markets, I just looked here, and the soybean complex and corn are getting crushed right now. So must have been some news, crop news or whatever, that caused this big drop here. I have to go and check like agricultural news to see if I can figure out what exactly caused this. But because I really don't know at this point. So anyways, let's just start right on the top here with rice. So I'm looking mainly at hourly charts now, guys. I'm not saying I don't look out at the higher time frames, but I really just started, the last few weeks to, again, it's not that I don't look at the higher time frames, but my preferred time frame to enter on, or to at least decide that I'm going to enter, is on the hourly chart. Now I might go down to a shorter time frame, like a 10 to 15 minute, just to fine tune and just to see, if there's any structure breaks on the shorter time frame. Like if I was looking for a short in here on the rice here, we made a new low, we're pulling back now. So, you can see where price is at now. Here's our swing high, right? That led to this low. And so, now I'd like go down to a 10-minute chart or something and say, okay, let's look at structure area, see if we're breaking structure. And so on the 10-minute chart, here's that little pullback we saw on the hourly chart. So, you could say, well, I'm going to wait for price to break this low right here, and then I would go short. And you can, of course, further refine that on a 5-minute chart, but it gets a little bit dicey here. Still, to me, this is still the best area. So that's what I'm talking about. So anyways, on rice, be looking at short-term selling opportunities here. And I say short-term because the 4-hour chart is looking a little bit more bullish. And we're going to talk about commitment of traders here in a minute, which I know we haven't done in a few months, because as you guys remember, when in the United States here, we had the U.S. government shutdown back in the mid-fall time frame, mid to late fall time frame, and they finally straightened that out and got the government reopened, but it put the COT reports behind by like 6 or 7 weeks, like the entire length of the shutdown, because those are all U.S. government driven reports from the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which is run by the government. And so we were not getting any COT updates during that time. And the shutdown was ended, but it took several weeks for the data to kind of catch back up. But it has got back up. I have not really been looking at it much, but I've gone back to taking a peek just to see where we're at. So we'll take a quick look at those as we go here. So again, that's rice. And again, the 4-hour chart is looking, we have a major swing low down here, and we've got this big bullish candle. So we'll see if we can continue to make lower highs and lower lows on the hourly time frame. Obviously with a target being maybe, anywhere from inside of this big bullish candle down to this swing low. But if we get a momentum shift to the upside, we would have to break a swing high in the hourly chart, which for me would be like right here. So at least, short-term bearish here on rice. Okay. So, and let you guys know, I have not taken any trades today, guys. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. My son, we have my son's cat right now, and I have another computer off to my right here, and he likes to jump up on my desk and lay on the keyboard of the other computer because it's warm, and he likes to be warm. So you probably heard the beeping. That's because he jumped on the keyboard. So I apologize about that. He's a great cat. He's really funny, but, they get into trouble, as you know, if you have one. So anyways, so here's soybean oil. Now I had showed you soybeans a minute. So soybean oil also had this big giant candle to the downside. But you can see the buyers are trying to come back in here now and buy this thing back up. And we're going to look at the COT data on this. But on the 4-hour chart, we're definitely moving higher here. I would say this is kind of our 4-hour major swing point down here. And, you can see we've been putting in higher highs, higher lows. So this, could end up being a good buying opportunity here if this thing turns more bullish. On the 1-hour chart, we probably have this as kind of our swing point. And you can see price tried to reach back down here and it failed. And I don't know. I mean, it's not like really aggressively going back to the upside. This could just be profit taking right now. So let's see what happens. Like I said, I'm going to show you guys the COT charts, but really interesting here, this big drop. And there's soybeans. This is just the soybeans, and you can see this one also had this significant drop. So obviously these are all related. Soybeans is definitely in a downtrend. Here's the 4-hour chart, lower highs, lower lows. So this is not unexpected. You can see all these equal highs right here. There's tons of buy-side liquidity sitting right above here. And you can see they popped price through here and then had this huge drop. I wish I could say I took these, but I wasn't in them. I've been actually off doing stuff this morning, so I did not take any of these, which I'm kind of kicked myself, but I'm certainly not going to chase this now. So if this is the start of a new, larger leg down, there'll be plenty of opportunity to get into this, after the market takes a little pause and pullbacks and profit taking, and then have it go and continue down. So, we do have our 4-hour swing low sitting right here that we reach for. And, obviously this could hold and price could turn around and go up. But unless this area, which it just, smashed through, which it broke through and then went lower, unless this area comes back up and price takes this out, then we are still in a downtrend. So, all right, Canadian dollar. Hourly chart, this is actually the 4-hour chart. You can clearly see we're still in a downtrend. 1-hour chart is correcting up. So again, this is another situation where you may want to just look for some kind of pullback, pull back up into liquidity, and then have this downtrend continue. And you can see we did kind of try to break down right here. And then price came right back up to these equal highs again. And it now is, of course, not doing too much. So, but this is, to me, is pretty bearish right now. So, I'd like to see a little bit more definitive moving to the downside, but this is typical Canadian dollar. It's a really choppy. It can be a very choppy currency. I never like trading Canadian dollar pairs when I traded forex, and this is why. But anyways, I do remain pretty bearish on this. We did have this short-term uptrend here on the 1 hour chart, but you know, it's still. I'd be more inclined to say that this eventually will break down. You can see all this equal highs sitting right across here. So again, a lot of buy side liquidity, just a holding price right here, and so, be looking for shorts there. Soybean meal. So this one's really frustrating. You can see these price marks right here. This was a long trade that I was in. I had a take profit sitting down here last night when the market reopened on Sunday, because this was last night. You can see the time down there, Sunday 20, that's 8 o'clock p.m. New York time. I got taken out at that point at TP. And you can see then, overnight, early today was chopping around. Then boom, we had this huge down candle. So I left all of this on the table. So that's the way it goes, though. But anyways, this is definitely in a downtrend. Again, on the 4 hour chart, you can see our swing high up here. Price, made a new low, came up, and now is heading lower. And I fully expect, unless this swing high right here, if this turns out to be a new swing, then price will go down, make a new low. But unless this high right up here gets broken to the upside, then the downtrend remains intact. So I'm not in it right now. I'll wait for some profit taking and pullback, which won't be today, obviously, and then look for a continuation to the downside. And look at corn. So this is obviously across the grain complex, other than rice. But soybeans and corn, look at this. So here's the 4 hour chart of corn. It's been a little bit sideways here. And, when we made this high, this double top high up here, we came down. We did not take out this swing low. So for a while, that was looking pretty bullish, because we didn't break any big structure here on the 4 hour chart. Came down, tested it, came all the way back up. And then we failed here. A few attempts to go higher, and then bam, today, currently, and it's still going down right now. So again, nothing I can do about that, but it looks like there's certainly a downtrend continuing on corn. And then lastly, in hogs, and this looks like it's trying to potentially break some structure to the downside, maybe. Here's the 4 hour chart. And again, we've kind of got these equal lows right here. So we do have to be careful about, equal lows, getting a breakout pattern here or a false breakout below here. And then it turns and goes back up, because you can see we have been going up. But now we've entered this sideways pattern. We've got kind of, basically some equal highs. So this is like kind of our range right now. And so let's see what happens if we break lower. Now, hogs are related to the grain market because, they feed them a lot of this, the grain stuff. So, as grain prices grow, sometimes this goes too. So we'll see if there's any follow through selling in hogs based on the agricultural markets. But, right now, like I said, we're kind of sideways here. Here's our overall range on the 4 hour chart. And on the 1 hour chart, we had this one little swing lower high right here, but you can see we're holding this range. But this is like basically all sell side liquidity. So is it going to go lower, or is this going to hold and just maybe fool people into going short and then smash back higher again? But so keep an eye on that. So that's where we're at right now. Like I said, I'm not in anything active right now. Let's take a quick look over at the COT data. So again, guys, if you go back to my videos back in the fall, for those that were with me then, I made several videos on commitment of traders data. So I don't want to rehash all this, but you can go back and watch those, or find out if you don't know what COT data is. like I said, you go back and watch my videos from probably back prior, well, definitely before the government shutdown. So probably back to like October or even before that. Or you can obviously do a little bit of quick research on it. But again, these are government reports, and it's basically just positioning of the big players that move the market, which are the commercial players, which are like in the grain markets. Those are like, the ones that grow the product, and then the users of it, the end users that buy it. Those are your commercial producers, your commercial players, your producers. And that's this red line. And then the green line is the basically the large speculators. So these are like the hedge funds, the funds basically. So these are not producers or users, but these are the big giant, like, trading houses and funds that move the market. And then the blue line represents us, the retail traders. So this is basically over time. This particular range goes from, I'm not logged in right now, so it doesn't show much range. It basically goes from July till now. But if I log in, I do have this is a free account you can set up on Insider Week. If I log in, I could extend this back. But it's basically just showing you the net short or long for these positions. But the really good line is this one up here, is the COT index. And basically this is like a calculated index of the commercial traders up here. And so you have these two extreme positions here. The green is extreme long, the red's extreme short. And what you have to remember, and I've said this many times, is that these positions don't change very much, okay? This only updates once a week. The COT only puts out an update once a week. So these are weekly candles you're seeing up here on the chart above it, because it only updates once a week. And so you have to just remember these are long-term charts, but they can kind of give you some hints about where the commercial traders are. Now, one of the things you have to remember, and again, I don't want to rehash everything, but commercial traders often hedging. So if the market's going down consistently, you probably will find that they're net long, and vice versa. If the market's going up, you'll probably find them net short because they're hedging against risk. So, but as their position starts to change and comes out of one of these extreme areas, the price generally will start moving in that direction. Okay, so this is, what are we looking at here? Soybean oil. Let's just go to soybeans here. And let's see what's going on here. So again, if we look at this, you can see all in here, they were net short. They became into this extreme net short back in October. That's where, right about here, they come into this red area. And then they were short, short, short. And now you can see they start to turn. This line starts to bend and come up out of this zone. Now, this one's a little bit late because by the time it comes out of the zone, we've already been going down for 3 weeks. But if you just use this weekly candle right here, you can see it starts to bend up, and then we have this big bearish engulfing weekly candle, and then the price goes down solid for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so essentially right now, if you look at this based on COT data, you'd say, okay, I want to be essentially looking for short positions in soybeans. Okay, now once this line gets back up into the green area, that doesn't mean the downtrend is over. It just means they're now positioning themselves net long. They're hedging their positions, their short positions. And then as you know, when the price bends and starts to come out of this green area, that's when you have to, expect that you might start seeing higher prices. But again, it doesn't happen overnight. Here's an example right here. You can see price, well, here it's not a great example because it didn't really get into the green. It just touched it. But you can see even as it started to come back out of that area, it took a couple more weeks before basically here we started putting in higher prices. And then we did go higher. Here's one back here, right in the extreme long area. It starts to come out of that area, and then boom, a week later we get this big, engulfing candle. So this is kind of like what you want to watch for, okay? And it just kind of shows you the footprints of what these people are doing. Okay, and so we can look at corn too. You can do that to any of these markets. However, I think certain markets are better suited for COT data than others. But, here's an example here in corn. Um, we were up here in this extreme long position. And then we started bending down and coming out of this area. Again, this goes back to the fall, October. And then look at, we proceeded to have this big bullish run up. Okay. Now we have prices down. We have the commercials down in the extreme short position. And, we'll be looking for this to bend and go higher. We did have we did have that happen right here where it started bending higher. We went up for 2 weeks and then we had another big engulfing candle down. So this is just kind of like sideways price action. You can see all these 1, 2, 3, 4, about 2 months here. The price basically went sideways. And so you will get these, again, nothing is perfect. You will get like a situation like this where where the COT index starts to bend up. It looks like maybe it's going to start going higher. You get basically 1 week, maybe 2 weeks of uptrending market, and then boom, this big bearish engulfing candle, and the index comes right back into the extreme short area. So let's see what happens. Does it stay in this extreme short area? And, in which case we can just continue to be short here. That this was just an anomaly right here. And really, nothing really changed. It was just, we're just going to just keep oscillating inside of this this zone right here. And basically, you're going to wait for price to, for the index to start to bend and come out of that zone. And then you're going to look for a corresponding weekly candle that's, really strong in the opposite direction. And even though we had the oscillator come out of the extreme short area back here this was early December, look at the candle. The candle is basically a doji, right? It came out of here. And even this one, even though it was higher, it was basically an equal high back here. So, you would have expected that this would have closed, on a high above this previous high, and it didn't. So again, you still have to kind of use your visual and not just rely just on that to say, look, yeah, I mean, this came out of the extreme overbought, oversold area, but the candles were not very impressive coming out of there, right? As opposed to this one, this is a very strong bearish engulfing candle. It closed at the low. It completely engulfed these two green candles. And so to me, that just definitely points to still overall bearish pricing. And with that ginormous wick I just showed you on the chart for corn, right? There you go. So that's the power of using COT. But again, the key point to remember is these are very long-term. These are weekly charts. They only update once a week. So you can't make any real day trade decisions based on these charts, but they just give you an idea of where these commercials are sitting, and you can, kind of just ride alongside them. And you only have to look at these charts, these COT charts, once a week, because they only update once a week. On Friday they update. The data actually comes out on Tuesday, but the CFTC doesn't update these charts till Friday. So this Friday we'll get another update, and you want to see what this line does, if it changes, if it stays inside this red zone, and you want to look how the weekly candle closes. This is last week's candle, so we'll get another candle we'll paint at the end of this week, and you want to look at that along with where this line is at. And if we continue to either move lower and or certainly not higher above here, and which it doesn't look like we're going to today, and this line stays inside the red zone, then you can be pretty confident that you're going to be looking for short positions here in this market. Doesn't mean you won't have days where it'll rally. Obviously, you're going to have pullbacks. You could have, a couple of days or whatever where price goes higher. Those are just pullbacks. But overall, the large traders are telling you that we want to take this market short. Okay? So I'm not going to go through it for every one of these things. Actually, let's just look at Hogs, though, because I haven't looked at Hogs since we got this data back. So let's see where they're at with Hogs. And remember, there's also the seasonal component. Again, if you go back and look at my videos from, I talk about seasonality, especially with grains in agricultural markets. There is a component of that being, of the grain markets, um, and where certain times of the year, due to whatever crop plantings and weather and just seasonal usage of product, where there can be seasonal patterns on top of the COT data. But to me, the COT data is still primary. The seasonality doesn't equate every year, but it can give you a pretty good indication. And this website, again, insider-week.com, has both. This is the COT page. If you go under tools, there's also a seasonality here. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. So, you can look at both. And if you want, I can go back into the seasonal data on another video, but I don't want to do that now. It's going to just make the video too long. But you can see what's happening potentially with hogs. And I say potentially because we are still trading inside this green zone. Okay, so we came out of the red, and you can see how long it took. This is what I'm saying. Like, this doesn't happen overnight. We came out of the extreme sold zone way back here in late October, and it took about a month before price tried to turn higher. Now we're starting to look like, are we going to come out of this extreme long area? Okay, we'll have to see where the weekly candle closes. Okay, and if we come out of here, then that to me would be pointing to higher prices in hogs. Okay, but when I was showing you this chart before, I was thinking that prices was going to go down. Remember, I was talking about this range. So we'll have to see. So just for a laugh, I know I wasn't going to do it, but let's just look at seasonality for hogs. I'm not logged in here, so I don't know if it's going to. Yeah, I guess it'll let me. Sometimes unless you're logged in, it won't show you. But let's just look at hogs. And let's look at seasonality. I have to refresh myself on this because of the fact I haven't looked at this in so long. Gotta let this thing fill in here, and we'll look at where we're at with hogs from a seasonal standpoint. Okay, so here's our seasonal chart of hogs, and this is very simple, right? You got the 12 months across the bottom, and then these are 5, 10, and 15-year seasonal trends. And this red line is obviously where we are right now. This is the year-to-date current. Okay, so you can see on hogs, we do tend to start going into a seasonal up move here right around mid-January. Let's see, on all three of these time frames, 5, 10, 15 years, we go into a bullish run that runs through late January, and then it kind of chops, but still is basically up for through the month of February and even into early March, and then we get another big run up into the end of March. So we could be heading into a seasonal area on hogs where maybe we do go higher. So is this just all just the market just taking a little breather and eventually we'll start moving higher again? Well, according to the COT data and the seasonality, that's true. So if we go to the 4-hour chart again, you can see we are putting in higher highs and higher lows. And again, we could just be entering into a little bit of a breathing pattern here. And eventually, maybe we'll get a little, sell side liquidity, take out people that are long, take out their stops, or trigger in people that want to go short, breakout traders to go short. And then boom, this thing will slam and go higher. So, that's what you have to look at. So that's just one example. So you could do that with all of these markets. You could look at the COT data, look at the seasonality, and then look at the price chart. Okay, it's just the price chart tells you exactly what price is doing right now. Okay, but the COT data and the seasonality data will help give you a little bit of a hint of what the big players are doing, the ones that actually move the markets, which is not you and I. And we have no influence on the market. Our positions are much too small to have any real effect on the market, even all of us combined. It is the commercial players and the large speculators that move the market. We just hope to hop on their back and be, going in the same direction. So that's all we can hope for. So anyways, guys, I've been going almost a half an hour here, so I want to wrap this up soon. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, we do have our COT data back, so that's good for me. If you guys look at it, good for you too. And again, this is the website I use. Again, I have no affiliation, and this is actually free to use. It's really good. It's insider-week.com. You don't even need to create an account, but if you want to get more price history, you can create an account and then you can log in. It'll just show you more history, especially in the COT section, more price history. All right, and there's a bunch of stuff on here, but those are really the only two things I use: COT and seasonality. That's really all I use. But there's a lot of good tools in here too, and so take that for what it's worth. All right. So rice. I know I keep saying I'm not going to do this. Oh, I'm not. I can't look at rice right now because I'm not logged in. Okay, we'll do that on the next video, guys. I'll go through We'll take a quick look at the seasonality and COT data for all these markets on the next video, and just kind of get up to speed on that. But like I said, I don't want to belay this one anymore. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and it's good to be back. Like I said, hopefully my computer hangs in there for another week or so until I get my new one in, and then I'm going to have to set up that one and reinstall all my programs and platforms, which I'm not looking forward to, but at least I got this one functioning for now, so I can kind of be working on the new one on the side and still be able to use this one in the interim. And hopefully it hangs in for me. So, all right. So leave it there, guys. Smash that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Any questions, comments, please leave them down below. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Thanks.